Hey guys, Huz here. This is episode 2 of Common Mistakes in League of Legends. It's a little bit late, but this is due to the new patch coming out and LoL Replay not being updated. As you can see on the minimap in the bottom right, it's a little bit buggy, so let's hope that everything works well. Okay, now I'm going to cover things a little bit differently from now on. I had feedback which was really good and episode 1 was received really well, but everybody wanted a little bit more structure, and this is what I'm going to do. This episode is going to mainly focus on mid lane. Then I'm going to do a common mistakes video on every single lane. But then after all the lanes are done, I'll be doing other sections of the game. So then it'll be, Baron control, dragon control, objectives, that type of thing. Now please enjoy the video and find it useful. Okay, the points we're covering today. Firstly, we're going to start with warding. Where's the kind of areas you should be warding in mid? I see a lot of people making mistakes in this area. Then we're going to go on to when to roam, and I'm going to give you an example of a roaming situation. Number 3, we're going to be talking about jungler's farm. When should you take it? When shouldn't you take it? And then finally, we're going to be on starting items in mid lane. That is probably the biggest area I see mistakes in. Okay, one of the most common mistakes in League of Legends, especially in mid lane, is warding. A lot of people think that either they shouldn't ward if they're a laner, or they ward in the wrong positions. Now I'm going to show you a few places where people tend to ward, and where sometimes it's a mistake, but not always. Right. If you look at these bushes, this bush here, and this bush here, a lot of people just simply ward these, and they don't know why they're warding. They just say, right, I've got a ward down. That's a big mistake. You ward these bushes for a specific reason. You ward it if their enemy jungler is a jungler that needs to have their bush to gank. So you're looking at junglers like Rengar need the bush to gank, or Shaco needs a bush to gank, or something that has, a high mobility, burst. Maybe an Udyr would be a good way to ward these bushes. And then you ward the outer bushes of stuff that have a lot more mobility. So a Hecarim, a Volibear, the things that build up speed and you need to react a lot quicker. Now, some places that you can ward safely, you can ward here, which obviously gives vision of if the jungler is coming from their jungle this way, but it also gives you a little bit of vision if he's coming up river, so it gives you time to react. Now it does leave you a bit open if somehow the jungler makes his way through your tri-bush and then comes up, as you will be blind here. Now, a lot of the time I do not ward in my own jungle. I don't really seem, I'm not that scared. So I tend not to ward here, but if you are very cautious or if you're being ganked in mid, then maybe it's worth throwing a ward here. Now, on the other side, it is worth warding the same place if the jungler is in the same situation. So if you've got a jungler that has, a high burst or needs a bush to try and secure a gank, then always ward in the bush. The other places you can ward here. Always ward relatively close to this side, as if you ward over here, sure, it gives you vision if they're going to try steal blue, but really you don't see anything around here. So it's kind of a useless ward once the blue's taken. Some people ward in this bush, but tend to ward a little bit later in the game when Baron controls are being fought for. Now up here is a common mistake where a lot of people make. You get people warding just generally, you get people warding here, which is not a terrible ward, but there's a lot better places to do it. Sure, you get vision of them if they're going to do wraiths, but there's places I prefer. One being here, as it's this is quite a common place for everybody to ward. If they are doing a pink run, or an oracle's run, they will most likely clear this out. Where this is it is used, but a little bit less, so you have more of a chance that your ward may survive. Plus, it gives vision, a little bit more vision if they're coming down from top lane. It gives you a little bit more time to react. As if your ward's here, you have no idea that they're in this bush. And obviously, having bush control is, necessary for winning a game. Now, if you are fairly confident that you can beat them in a 2v1 situation, if their jungler comes, you'll be able to kill them both, then I recommend warding here, as it gives you vision of if the jungler's about to do raids and then head for mid, because then you can prepare for it simply by just leaving mid lane, going around and just picking up a kill. Nice and easy kill. Now that's a couple of places where to ward. There are other places, but generally in mid lane you want to set up a little contract with your jungler. I'm lucky enough to have my duo partner be a jungler, so we always kind of work it out. But I always ward one side, he always wards the other. If you're going to do pre-mates, if you're going to do duo Q, especially if you're with a mid or jungler, then I recommend you do that as well. Then that was common mistake number 1. A lot of people make the common mistake of either not roaming in mid or not knowing when to roam. Now, I'm just going to give you a clear example of when I roamed, and I'm going to give you the reasons why. Maybe it will help you decide, when should you roam. Okay, a lot of people ask the question, when should I roam in mid lane? As you can see, I'm making my way down the bottom lane. My wave is actually in the middle of lane, so it's an okay time to gank. Now, if we look at bot lane, they've done a really good counter gank, and all these 3 are quite low. Shen goes in on them, does die, but then he gets them both fairly low himself with the aid of Quinn. Alistar does kill the Quinn, but I pick up a double kill at this point. But I'm still panicking, where's Ryze? Now, Jax, don't know why, he comes back in. So I get a triple kill really early simply because I roamed. Now, a lot of people will be like, why did I roam? So let's look back of why did I roam. Okay, we find ourselves at bot lane, and our bot lane is pressuring them under tower. Just keep pressuring, that type of thing. But the Jax is going to move in for a gank, it seems. Now they do have vision of him, if you can see the ward here, so they know he's coming. So there's the flash from Alistar, the flash from Thresh. As you can see, the Shen is moving down now to counter gank. The Thresh goes down, and we'll see the point that I start moving down. Now, I see that the situation is, not looking amazing for my team, so I start moving down. And as you can see, the Ryze is not doing anything. So they're still pressuring on comms now. Gals knows that I'm on my way down. So I pick up 1 kill, and I pick up the other 2 as it comes. So that's why I roamed. 1, from communication, but 2, because the situation was going bad. Now, if you look at mid lane, my wave is not on my tower. By the time I get back, I'm going to lose a few CS, but I picked up a triple kill. At 5 minutes 40 odd, I'm already 4-0 as I picked up first blood. Now, this footage upcoming, it was supposed to be of examples of when to take jungler's farm in real games, but unfortunately with the Bosa LoL replay with the new patch, I was unable to get some. So this footage is going to be just generally, plays or good plays or just general stuff, so I can talk over it. The footage won't be linked to the subject I'm talking about, unfortunately. Okay, one of the biggest common mistakes I see, especially in mid lane, is in reference to taking jungler's farm. Now, the biggest thing I personally see is people not taking it when they should, or they're taking it at bad times. Now, the biggest example of taking it at a bad time is if your jungler is behind on, CS, XP, levels, everything. Don't take their farm if they're close by. Take it if, say you're on purple side, which is on the right side, they're at bot lane, your jungler's at bot lane, and then that will leave wraiths open. That is a time that you can always take it. If your jungler is nowhere nearby, they only have a minute respawn time, take the wraiths, take the wolves. It helps you in lane, it gives you an XP advantage, and it should give you a CS advantage if both of you are fairly even in lane. Okay, another time to take CS could be your opponent's jungle. Now, I recommend only really doing this if you have full vision of where the enemy jungler is, or you're in a fed situation that if the jungler were to come, then you'll be able to kill them anyway. Now, on gold wise, it's always better really to take wolves rather than wraiths, but wraiths is the best, the easiest to get. Now, always take your own wraiths. If you talk with your jungler saying, right, can I take the wraiths now? They say yes, sure. It helps you extend your lead. But then take the enemy wraiths. You might trap them and get a kill every now and then. So it's a really good thing. Always use the jungle, to help you push an advantage. It's a common mistake people make, not taking it at all. Okay, now I'm going to start about items, starting items, that type of thing. It's the area in the whole game, every single role of League of Legends, where I see the most mistakes made. So this topic will feature in every single common mistakes on the different roles. Starting at number 1, it's my standard start to mid lane. On a champion that I need mana regen on, it's a perfect start to go. It gives you early sustain with the potions, it gives you early vision with 1 ward, but it also gives you the option to build either Tear or Chalice straight when you base for the first time. Number 2 is the build that I don't need mana regen on, and I want to have the early mobility. So on champions like Katarina, TF, and Akali, I go with this. Some people may question my TF pick on this, but it's simply because TF is an auto attack champion. You have to get your auto attacks on somebody to do the damage. If he can't catch up to his lane opponent, he'll do no damage. Number 3 is my standard start when I'm running an AD mid for champions like Zed, Jarvanfort, and Kha'Zix. It gives me early pressure with my elixir, it gives me early vision with my ward, and it gives me sustain with my health potions. Number 4 is my start when I'm against an AD mid, if I'm a squishy, AP, or if I'm a melee champion like Diana. I go Cloth Armor 5 potions. Then a lot of the time people go back to base first time and build a Seeker's Arm Guard. Don't do this. Go back and get 2 Doran's Rings and maybe Boots if you have the gold. This is because it will give you the initial tankiness to survive an AD mid. Yes, sure, a lot of people want the Seeker's Arm Guard so they can start building the stacks early, but don't stress. Get the 2 Doran's Rings first and then build the Seekers, as it will help you survive and have sustain in lane. Now finally, number 5 is the thing I go if I'm against something that can push me out of lane really hard. If I'm playing, say, a melee champion mid, say Diana or something along the lines again, and I'm against a champion like Cassiopeia or Kassadin that has, every single second of the game, they'll be constantly, Cassiopeia will be Q spamming me, E spamming me, and it'll be like bullying me out of lane. And if you get bullied out of lane, you're going to get behind. So this is what I do. I go 9 potions, so I have a lot of health regen. I can stay in lane for a long time, even if I get poked. And then I also get 2 wards. This is because it will help me stay in lane even more, so I can put the wards out and not be scared of a jungler gank. Now here's some examples of starting items and a little bit here and there about mid lane items. I hope this has helped you, and I hope it will help you, what build the correct item to the correct situation. I may do a mid guide soon, and that will cover builds more in detail, but that's all I'm going to do for now. As I said, I'm going to be covering different builds, starting items, in all the common mistakes, episodes. Next week's probably going to be jungling, so I'll probably cover the starting items for jungling, but I'll also cover, a little bit more to the starting items, as most things build Machete 5. Now I just want to say thank you for watching. And obviously this week's episode was a bit hard to do with a recent patch and LoL Replay not really working the way I wanted to. Obviously keep sending in replays, and hopefully LoL Replay will be up to date by the time of next week, as you can see in this video I was unable to use many of your examples. Now next week I'm probably going to cover jungling mistakes. If you have any feedback, please don't hesitate to leave it in the comments below, and remember, keep playing League of Legends.